Hello and welcome to a new video. In this video I want to show you my best builds for Mythic Plus, the new gameplay form which released on World of Warcraft Bronzebeard. I will show you all mystic enchants, equipment, talents and gameplay tips to get the best out of your paladin for Mythic Plus dungeons. So let's dive in. As you can see, I race swapped my character. I sadly had to leave the path of the undead and had to become a human again. The reason for this is the human skill set is just too good to pass on. We are coming in more difficult modes in the game, and as much as I love to play as an undead, the human racials are just too good to pass. As a human, you get the racial everyman for himself, which removes every stun and movement impairing effect on you. But what's even more important, the diplomacy racial passive with 10% more reputation gains, which is really good on Bronzebeard because every dungeon has a reputation with it. But for the most important part, we get 3 expertise for maces and swords. This is just too good to pass on. 3 expertise are a lot, and it helps us so much more for gearing our character and get the most out of it. Okay, so what build do we want to play for Mythic Plus dungeons? Our best setup right now is playing as a Twisted In. For this, we use the Twist of Faith legendary mystic enchant, which allows us to twist our Seal of Righteousness, Seal of Command and Seal of Vengeance every 8 seconds and to reduce the mana cost for this seal. This playstyle is really strong right now. We can hit 26 expertise by now without using Seal of Vengeance anymore for our rare mystic enchant, and this allows us to twist Seal of Righteousness and Seal of Command, which is a big damage increase for us. That's the main reason why Twist of Faith is better than One with the Light right now. I will go into the gearing section in a bit. For now we stay with the mystic enchant. For epic mystic enchants we use Crusader of the Light. This is and will always be our best epic mystic enchant because it reduces the cooldown of our wings and it gives us a bonus attack every 12 auto attacks. So insanely good, and we can't pass on this one. For the second epic mystic enchant I'm using Branding Seal. The reason for this is to increase the damage of our Seal of Righteousness by 20%. As I said, we want to twist Seal of Righteousness and Seal of Command, so Branding Seal is a big damage increase for us. On top of it, it allows to apply Seal of Righteousness on our Exorcism and our Holy Wrath, which increases our damage even more. Insanely good, and we should absolutely use this. For your third epic mystic enchant, you have more variety options. I use Fierce Vengeance because it allows our vengeance to stack up 1 additional time. We don't have a physical reduction like we have from One with the Light. We get full value out of this epic enchant, so 3% more holy damage and 3% more physical damage on our twists. Really strong, but you don't have to use it. Another viable option is Consecrated Seal. Consecrated Seal is giving us 6% more holy damage as long as we stand in our consecration. This stacks up pretty high. For Mythic dungeons I wouldn't suggest to use this. The reason for this is that you have to move a lot. You always want to have consecration up and big pulls, so it can work. But for me, I think Fierce Vengeance is a more flexible option. But for more damage, and if you can play it perfect, this seal will be stronger and will be a better mystic enchant than Fierce Vengeance is. Another good option for Mythic Plus is Divine Resurgence. This resets the cooldown of Divine Storm. We have big AoE packs in Mythic Plus dungeons, so this is also a really good choice, but your single target damage will suffer if you use this enchant, so less boss damage, which makes the other 2 options better in my opinion. For rare mystic enchants I use Glyph of Seal of Righteousness to get 10% more damage of Seal of Righteousness overall. Glyph of Seal of Command, we don't have time to get much mana back in Mythic Plus dungeons, so this seal gives us 8% more base mana every time we charge Seal of Command, and we have this up all the time with twisting. This should be an absolute set. Glyph of Holy Wrath for all the AoE packs, 15 seconds less on Holy Wrath, which applies Seal of Righteousness as well if you charged before, so really good option. Light's Hammer for another big AoE damage spell. Glyph of Judgment to deal 10% more judgment damage, we charge a lot as we said. Seals of the Pure to increase the damage of our Seal of Righteousness by another 50%. And Divine Strength, this is also an absolute set for us, 50% more strength overall. I use a second setup for boss fights, so if you run into a boss you want to swap to this setup here, It's min-maxi, you don't have to do it, but it will increase your single target damage. I used the same setup, I just moved out Seal of Holy Wrath for Glyph of Exorcism to get more single target damage. For our second option, if you absolutely don't want to play Twist of Faith, you can choose to play One with the Light. One with the Light is our most flexible Mystic enchant and it scales up really high in the future. But now it's just less damage than Twist of Faith, but it's also a really viable option. For Mythic Plus, I suggest to take Crusade of the Light for the reasons which I told you before. Divine Resurgence, because this is just so much AoE damage on this build and you have the time to press another button in between when it goes up. Really great option. Here's Vengeance. I used this, as I told you before, for more flexibility. Once again, Consecrated Seal is even better and even scaling higher on this build here, so it's more damage overall than Fierce Vengeance, but you have to be able to get it stacked up all the time in your consecration while moving, so I suggest to take Fierce Vengeance to get more out of it overall. A rare Mystic enchant, I'm using Glyph of Exorcism here for 20% more exorcism damage, Glyph of Holy Wrath to reduce the cooldown of Holy Wrath by 15 seconds, Divine Strength once again 15% more strength, Light's Hammer for another AoE to press, Judgment for 10% more judgment damage. I use Glyph of Hammer of Wrath to reduce the mana cost of Hammer of Wrath by 100%, really good. Other viable options are Glyph of Crusader Strike for 3% more crit on Crusader Strike, or for example Glyph of Avenging Wrath for more single target damage for 15% reduced cooldown of Hammer during your wings. For our last option, we use Glyph of Seal of Command once again for 8% more base mana back every time we judge, while we use Seal of Command for Mythic Plus dungeons in this build. For this, you obviously also need 26 expertise to make it viable. For talents, we use 5 points into Benediction for 10% less mana cost on our spells, 2 points in Improved Judgment for 2 seconds less cooldown on Judgment, 3 points into Heart of the Crusader for 3% more crit, 3 points into Conviction for even more crit, Seal of Command for obvious reasons, 1 point in Pursuit of Justice, 3 points into Sanctity of Battle for even more crit and more damage on Exorcism and Crusader Strike, 3 points into Crusade for more damage overall, Sanctified Retribution for more damage for everyone in your party and yourself, 3 points into Two-Hand Weapon Specialization for 6% more damage, 3 points into Vengeance, also for our Mystic Enchant and more damage, 2 points into Divine Purpose for 4% less chance to get hit. You can take these points and put them into Improved Blessing of Might. This will help you out a lot with more attack power, especially if you have another Paladin who can buff Kings in your group, Repentance for a stun and CC, Art of War to make our Exorcism instant, Judgment of the Wise for more mana regeneration for your whole group, really good, and one of the reasons Red Paladins are really good on Mythic Plus dungeons. Fanaticism for more crit and less threat. Threat is a big problem for us anyway, so we absolutely need this. Sanctified Wrath for more uptime on our wings, less cooldown and more crit chance for our hammer. Promise of the Crusader for more damage for our exorcism. Swift Retribution for 3% more haste for everyone in the group. Breath of Light to let our spell power scale with our attack power. Really good, especially with weapons which have a proc. This helps a lot to get more damage out of those weapons as well as your spells overall. Righteous Vengeance or another dot ability and Divine Storm. I recently set up a Ko-fi page here, so if you want to support me, feel free to tip here. Creating guides for World of Warcraft takes up a lot of time and I would appreciate some support for it. So if you want to support me, you can do this here. Please only tip if you can truly afford it. It's not necessary at all, but it will help to improve the quality of my videos in the future. For gear. My setup right now looks like this. I use a Lionheart Helm of Expert Might with extra expertise. This is really good. I also use the Sulgurub enchant with expertise and attack power here. Gem of Fortitude. This is absolutely Bis. We absolutely need spell penetration as a paladin. We need to get around 60 to 70 to get the most out of our damage. The reason for this is mobs have level scaled resistances and also holy resistances in this. To get the maximum out of our damage on mobs which are higher than level 60, we need spell penetration, otherwise we get a lot of mitigated damage on our spells. Most of our attacks are holy damage, so with around 60 spell penetration we get a lot more damage out of our complete kit. I didn't believe this first myself, but the damage difference is insane, especially on longer fights. It's about 100 to 200k damage overall if we don't have the spell penetration running. For shoulders, I use the Black Dragon Scale, Shoulders of Strength. You can also use crit ones here or expertise ones. For the back, I use Escantos Pulp. This gives me strength and expertise as well. As we said, we need a lot of expertise in our builds. Black Dragon Scale, Breastplate of the Tiger. Better options here would be crit or expertise. I only got this one. I use the Wrist Guards of Stability in the Mythic version for more expertise as well. As a weapon, I use Thunderstrike right now. My weapon choice hold my DPS back a lot at the moment. I just was not lucky with drops. If you can get an Ascended Sin Rock, this would be one of your best options and really easy to obtain compared to other options. But we will go into more weapon options and gear options in a second. The Libram of Amphibious Devotion is our best Libram right now. The damage of this is really insane. It procs so much and it is my 5th highest damage most of the time. So absolutely best in slot with an 8 crit enchant on it. For enchants on chest I also use the expertise enchant and here the strength enchant. For Trinket I use the Dark Moon card Maelstrom right now. We will go into other options in a second. Pips Redstone gives us a lot of spell penetration and crit, 2 stats we want and an on-use effect on top of it. Really good and my absolute favorite choice here. Inscribed Arcane Loop, you can get this from the jewelry vendor in Orgrimmar and Stormwind, costs about 750 gold. Gives us crit, spell power and spell penetration as well as stats, so really good ring. I use the Gordok Nose ring here for more expertise to hit my cap of 26, because right now I'm using a pole arm, I need 3 more expertise from any source. On my crafted items I don't have expertise, which would be the better option here to use other rings. We will go into other options in a second, but this is what I use at the moment. For boots, I use the Black Dragon Scale boots of Swift Might with strength and haste. Better options would be crit or expertise, but the crafted items are expensive enough and I got this, so I'm happy with it. Titanic Leggings of Swift Might for me, once again with a haste crit and expertise would be better, but it is what it is and haste isn't so bad for paladins as well. Once again, I use the enchant from Zul'Gurub with expertise and attack power. I use the Onslaught Girdle in the heroic version here because I got it, really good belt. And for hands, I use the Lawbringer gauntlets in the mythic version here. This gives me expertise as well. It's a really good option. I have an expertise enchant on top of it to reach my cap. Good option, not the best, but that's what I'm using right now. If we look into best in slot options, I go into Bisbeard here. For example, what you could use is Sin Rock. An Ascended version, as I told you before. This is not so hard to obtain. You have to kill Hakar and Zul'Gurub and Ascended with a guild. This should be possible. And it's nearly our best option right now. Obviously, better options would be Sulphurous. If you can get one of this in any version, the DPS is insanely high. And you should be able to do about 5 to 6k single target with this weapon here and the build I have shown you. Other good options are Spinal Reaper in the Ascended version, but also in the Mythic version it's better than Sinrock, and the Bone Reaver's Edge is really good. You can also get the Black Fury. This is a crafted item, also insanely good if you can get it, but it's also really expensive, costs about 4k gold. And the Obsidian Edge Blade in the Ascended version would be another really strong option for you. Spinal Reaper and Heroic is even good, so if you can get one of these weapons here, your DPS will skyrocket. The crafted items are our absolute best in slot here. You can also take the tier 1 set if you don't want to spend that much gold. Your DPS will be lower, but the proc from the 6 set isn't that bad and it scales with spell power, so it's also an option. But keep in mind you won't do the DPS as you would do with this set here. For belts, I use Ascender's belt for more expertise, as I showed you before. The Burnt Gatherings are also a great option, which gives you expertise, or you can get a Chromatic Cloak. They are not that expensive anymore with any strength and crit proc, for example. Also really good because it gives us crit and strength as well as hit here. Also a really viable option. Wrist Guards of Stability in Ascended is what you want to get. For hands, a cheaper option is the Chromatic Gauntlets if you want to take this. Our best options are the Dark Iron Gauntlets with expertise or crit, but once again, they cost about 4 to 6k gold, so really expensive. Lawbringer Gauntlets with the expertise on it are a really good option. Onslaught Girdle, Titanic Leggings is what you want, same as Black Dragon Scale boots here. For rings we have a lot of options. If you can get your hands on a sword or mace, which I showed you before, you can take the Seal of the Gurubashi Berserker. to get expertise kit as a human. In the Ascended version, this gives us a lot of attack power. Obviously, the quick strike ring is also a great option if you can get your expertise from something else. Band of Sulphurous, if you can get a good proc here. Strength and expertise, for example, attack power crit, anything of this would be insane. The Edge Ruby ring is also a good option. It gives us crit and attack power, also really strong, for example. So on rings you have a lot of options you can take. And for trinkets, Dark Mooncard Maelstrom is a lot of damage. It scales really good with our spell power. Other good options are the Premium Banana. It's a really good trinket for us. If we combine it with wings, it does a lot of damage. Or for example, the Eternal Flame artifact is not bad, which gives us a lot of haste, for example. Also a lot of options for our trinket. For rotation, I have made a video for Twist of Faith before where I explain the rotation. You can find it here. Just look into it, how to play with Twist of Faith. It has its own rotation gameplay section in it, which explains by detail what spells you should prioritize. Same goes for One with the Light. You can find it in this video here, and you can see how to play this build correct. Thank you very much for watching. If you found this useful, consider to like and subscribe for more World of Warcraft Bronzebeard content. Special thanks goes out to my channel members who support me with their hard-earned real-life money, especially Nerdman, Soul3, Aussie and Jay Collis for being high-tier supporter. If you want to get early access to builds, guides for World of Warcraft Bronzebeard or other World of Warcraft iterations, consider to become a channel member, because I always upload those kind of videos first for my supporters.